Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. More scrim results being revealed last night, especially Atlanta FaZe up against Exceed's roster, of course, a challengers team. Simp said after a difficult FaZe start to the season, at least their scrims are going well behind the scenes. That does not seem super clear now based on the results we have seen over the last couple of days. Lots to dive into this morning. Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Starting here, a couple of changes to the game yesterday. They dropped an update and, well, this is an interesting one anyway. Some people will like this, some people won't like it so much. The hard point at the start of the game, you could barely even see, I thought anyway, how much time was left on the clock. They've now moved it around so you can see it under the hardpoint zone itself. Some people would prefer it to still be where it was. Some people like this. It is what it is. It's a change at the end of the day. There was also this. I mean, it's a classic Treyarch, isn't it? Just classic COD developers. Not even necessarily to pick on Treyarch again. But if people were playing ranked last night and after the game ended, their game would just freeze and crash and break. And it's like, brilliant. Another update that just broke the game. So they are aware and are trying to fix that one ASAP. Quickly on the Falcons though, there's quite a lot to say on this team at the moment because they're making some major changes behind the scenes. And even Priestahh says, he's not said much over the last few days, but Priestahh said quite a lot last night on the plan to the team, what they're going to do in the coming days, what their preparation is maybe going to look like going into the minor tournament in less than a week's time. I think it's, what, 6 days from today, they will play OpTic Texas in the first round of the minor online. But this is from Hamza. Of course, now part of the Vegas Falcons academy, basically, as they, well, looked for a player to replace Kicks, who's gone back to deal with some personal issues back in Saudi Arabia. We looked at these numbers yesterday. Of course, the Falcons had a triple question mark. People were wondering, okay, how old actually are these guys? So Clay says, he asked them in the, of course, their facility, and he said the following. So, Doom, I think it's Doom pronounced, I'm not so sure, he's 22, Roxas is 25, Exnid's 22, and Wixel is how you pronounce this, is 22 as well. So you average those up, you get to 22.75, but obviously they're not 22.0, right, unless their birthday was yesterday. So on average, these guys would be 22.5, 22.5, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, their average age of a team is probably in the low 23s, probably kind of similar to Los Angeles Thieves, Heretics, something in that kind of ballpark. So on the lower end, but still not massively on the lower end in terms of where the league is trending in terms of roster ages. Of course, the funny thing about this tweet was from Clay that it confirmed the roster, right? Because we didn't know what they were doing. It wasn't official by any means what they were planning. In fact, Falcons hadn't even said that King of Body was gone. All they had said was that Khalid had gone back to deal with some personal issues in Saudi Arabia. They'd not said anything on King of Body. It was only a rumour until Clay basically said it yesterday that King of Body's been benched, which he has, but you know, this was the first confirmation we actually had from the Falcons that this was happening because Clay wants to give the community the answers on the age of the players and kind of maybe he realised, maybe he didn't, that he was effectively revealing their new roster. So Clay then followed up and said, all right, I got a second, I'm not just saying those players for no reason. These are the rest of the guys. So Hamza, of course, who's recently joined, 25. King of Body, who of course now on their academy team, 24. King is 20. And then QK only 18. So, you know, they got some shooters over there. We'll see who stays in the team for the longer term. I thought this is interesting as well. So as Marky B says, Clayster 35, Luti only 18. And, you know, Khalid, obviously people wondering, okay, how old's that guy? Because he's obviously maybe their most promising player. People are thinking, well, maybe Kicks can have Khalid, whatever you want to call him, can have a good future in the league for several years to come, whether on Falcons or not or elsewhere, or maybe he can be the player they build around if they decide to bring in other talent from other teams in the North American or European side, whatever. And Clay was like, I asked them what their age was and they were asking me and started laughing, but apparently Kicks is 23 years old according to what Clay believes and understands. Now this is an interesting point though from Clay, because yesterday Falcons confirmed a pretty big deal in the Counter-Strike world, and that's Nico joining their CS project. I think this has been a talking point now for a good couple of years, ever since Falcons started to make waves in esports. They always wanted Nico. They finally got him. And look, there are other esports teams that have taken different approaches. Obviously in Call of Duty, they've brought on their academy team, you know, their roster in challenges over the last couple of years. That's what they're running with in COD. But we know that Falcons' end game is to be the best team. I mean, like, they're not going to try not to be. So I like what they're doing for now, but we know how it's gone in other esports, and even just yesterday we saw Falcons CSGO, or CS2 as it is now, of course, officially sign Nico, one of the best, individually talented players ever, to their roster in one of these, big money to get the player move. Is it going to work out? It's obviously another question mark. We've seen what's happened with Ronaldo going to Al Nassr, right, and stuff like this over the last few years. So the question, of course, would be, especially because Clay is quote tweeting this, to say, all right, when are they going to do this in COD? Is there something similar down the line? Is it very plausible that they say, all right, Simp, all right, aBeZy, all right, Shotzzy, all right, Scum, and say, look, here's a lot of cash to come and play for our team. I feel like it's probably only a matter of time that this approach comes to Call of Duty. Maybe you could argue they've not got unlimited money if they're going to do it in CS. Maybe they can't do it in COD. The reality is they probably can if they want to, if they feel like the value is potentially going to be there. So that's what Falcons are cooking up. But let's talk about a couple of scrims, because Falcons were practicing over the last couple of days. They played aBeZy's team, and I think they won the scrim set 3-2, but of course they got slammed on the Hacienda 50-point club, which was not pretty. They did get more points on the Hacienda against Omid, but not by much. So, yeah, they played the Falcons, the Omid team. This, of course, is Fellows roster with Neptune, Lunas, and Craze. And, well, the numbers weren't especially pretty. 250, 192 here on this map. That was the Vault. This is the Skyline. Fellow, this map has 53. This was actually the map that they won. 250, 248. They won the Skyline. Super close map here. And, absolute banger, to be honest. I'm sure, to watch. Then, though, the Hacienda again was not pretty. So I think this may just have to be Falcons' permaban. They're getting slammed on this map here. Fellow went 38 and 11, including, of course, the assist that the eliminations count for. But yeah, mega map from him. These guys get put comfortably in the 100-point club. And then the red card was closer, but it was 250 to 228. So look, we've talked about this over the last few days. A lot of the Challengers teams looking very good. I'd love if Major One was a Pro-Am or something like that, but unfortunately it's not. We don't really know, apart from scrims, how good some of these Challenger teams are with respect to the Pro teams. And yeah, so they played the 5 maps. The red card happened as well, 250, 215, and that was 4-1 to Omid. So yeah, Falcons won 1 map. They won it very marginally, so I guess it does make me wonder whether, they're actually going to keep this roster, because Clay, I think, said in the replies, maybe I'll try and find that tweet real quick, about how, so you put this out to the initial players, and then, as Mack says, you realise it hasn't been announced yet, and then Clay says the team isn't official at all yet, this is just who we're playing with today. So, implies that they could still definitely change things around, and maybe after that scrim, they might need to think about it, depending on your perspective. But the other important scrim set was Exceed's roster versus Atlanta FaZe. Now, my bad, Exceed for the thumbnail. It had to be done. The thought came to me, so I thought it just made too much sense. But of course, Exceed was, with FaZe Black not long ago at all. And this is the new roster that he's running with on SGP. And they played FaZe last night in scrims. And the results were interesting, to say the very least. It's not like FaZe got slapped around here, but they certainly didn't do any slapping around. And that is typically what you'd expect from FaZe against any Pro League team in scrims, let alone when you're talking Challenger teams. So we've had a big discussion in the COD community over the last few days. Well, are the teams, certainly the Pro teams, how much are they really not trying in scrims, but how much are they trying to win in scrims compared to trying to just improve in scrims in general? But at the end of the day, you want to take some confidence into the start of the season, and FaZe certainly, I would say, need a bit of confidence right now. They've come off a bad stint, and yes, Ravens have started the year 4-0, and their scrim results have not looked very good at all. But, some people will say, oh, well, TJ, he only tries in matches and all this. Look, you've just got to compare it to what we know historically, which is that FaZe always dominate scrims. That's been the case for the last 5 years, and this year, that's not the case. So, SGP play FaZe. These are some of the numbers, as we can see here. They lost the first map 250, 216 on the Vault. Exceed goes 41 and 30. Dylan and Rex topping the scoreboard for the SGP guys. Game 2 was on the skyline. FaZe won this one, 250 to 218. Simp topped the numbers. Simp had an unreal map here. Look at the score. 7,300 score compared to the rest of the guys. I don't know how many eliminations Simp had there, but that must have been pretty insane. And loads of hill time as well. Then they played the Protocol. This was, I mean, I actually watched this map and it looked like FaZe were going to win it. And then I guess, I don't know, I didn't watch the last minute or so and it looks like Exceed's team won it and aBeZy was not there. So whether he lagged out or rage quit, I don't know, he kind of rage quit. But anyway, they won this one. Exceed's team 252-47. Exceed had 44 eliminations. Simp was topping the scoreboard again for FaZe. And then they played the Hacienda. This was 250-189 the other way. aBeZy, Drazah, Simp and Cell all pretty evenly matched in terms of score. Okay, it's score, but that's all we can really look at in terms of numbers right now. So those are the 4 maps. They split them. They then played the red card, game 5, and the red card was actually pretty comfortable for FaZe in the end, 250-135. But then they went on to play the 2 control maps, and both of these went down to the wire. All we have here is the 3-2 to FaZe on the Vault, and then they played Hacienda, and Exceed drops 50 frags, 50 eliminations, and it was a 3-2 to Exceed's roster on the Hacienda. So at the end of the series, the final scoreboard was 3 to SGP, 4 to FaZe. But a very, very close map set, right? Like, this was a very close 4-3. This was not a, well, FaZe dominated the maps that they won and they only lost marginally on the maps that they lost. No, this could have been, if you'd have told me these numbers were a scrim between OpTic and FaZe, I wouldn't, let's say last year, I wouldn't have disagreed. Okay, we're talking about practice, but it is still relevant given the start that FaZe have had in the CDL this year. So, I mean, look at these numbers, 252-16, 252-18, 252-47, like very, very close hard points, with the exception really of the red card, and even after that, they go to the control, and it's both round 5s. They win one, they lose one in FaZe. So, look, FaZe won the scrim set, congratulations. But it's not exactly pretty for FaZe right now, or maybe for, FaZe fans who are hoping this team can go on to achieve great success after dominating at the Esports World Cup in Riyadh just a few months ago. Maybe the challenger teams right now are just very good. We've seen SGP, we've seen Omid, among others, put up great results against the pro teams in recent days. But this is not what you might expect from FaZe. What I'd love to see, of course, is SGP, Scrim, OpTic, or Thieves, or Toronto, or something like that, just to see a team that also should be good in practice, how they would fare, whether it would be similar results or what's going on, because FaZe go into the minor tournament in a few days' time, far from the favourites. I don't know why this tournament isn't happening this weekend. It really should be, in my opinion. The CDL have done another classic break. I mean, I don't know, whatever. I do get frustrated talking about it, but this is the bracket for the tournament. OpTic Falcons, Rocker Gorillas, whatever, we know that. But FaZe play Heretics round 1. If they win that, they play Thieves. If they win that, they probably play something like Toronto. If they win that, they might play OpTic or Ravens or, whatever happens in the grand finals. So, it's all possible here, but, I was seeing predictions go down on this because people were saying, look, a week away from the minor, what's going to happen? Basically, everyone is saying that Thieves are expected to be in the finals. I've not seen many people say that FaZe are going to make it there, because even if FaZe beat Heretics, they play Thieves round 2, which they may win, but they may lose. They lost to them, obviously, in the qualifiers a couple of weeks ago, and it's not like we've seen much in practice from FaZe to give much evidence or maybe confidence to FaZe fans that they're turning it around. They're finally figuring things out here on Black Ops 6, because they've lost every series they've played FaZe apart from the one against Falcons. So, okay, they dominated Falcons, but I mean, they should be dominating Falcons, let's be honest, and they lost a map on the Vault Control there, which they won against Exceed's roster, but not exactly convincingly based on what we saw. So it's all very interesting with FaZe, and the season will determine what they do with their roster. But certainly Minor 1, it's single elim, it will be quite telling. Major 1 is a big deal. If they go to Major 1, I mean, imagine they started in the losers bracket. That would be crazy. Very unlikely, I would say. Yes, they're 1-3, but they play some more winnable games in their final few. Rocker, Boston, and Cloud9 are the 3 teams they play to close out the stage. But even if they have a decent seed for the Major, and then, they bomb out top 6 or something, Can they realistically keep this roster going for the rest of the year? I don't know. Enter your thoughts in the comments below, but of course the question always would be therefore if they were going to do something, if what we are currently seeing continues when we get to LAN, you know, who do they get? And that is the problem. But very much into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.